you said, a licensed GC general contractor. And so professionally, right now I am working as a full-time um, general contractor and soon to be full-time real estate mentor.
Awesome, awesome. So I have a list of questions, and we're gonna go down those questions so the audience can understand you and what your business is like. I like to start off professionally, so we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna get into some personal questions, and then we're gonna hit the third round, which is what we call the closing table. So, first question that we have for you: what's a common myth about your field of expertise?
A common myth is that you have to have like a ton of money in order to get into real estate or to start investing in real estate, which is a myth. You do not need to have a ton of money saved. So some people think that you have to have like 30, 40, 50, $1,000 save in your savings account. And not many people have that kind of money in the account. So there are so many different ways to access money, which is one of the things I talk about in my mentorship that's coming up. How to access that money so you don't have to use your own.
Okay, in your perspective, what's a fair amount to get started?
Comfortably, I would say comfortably about 20 grand. That would be comfortable. But you can get into real estate with as little as, $5,000, $1,000. And those how can I do those questions? Those are later. But you can get in with little as 5,000. And sometimes you know, there's ways to do it without using any of your own money. But again, that's another discussion for another time. But comfortably, if you have 20, anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 saved, that's a comfortable amount to get you started as a down payment, and also have a little bit to start your contractors to get the job, or those construction projects going.
Okay, and in your bio, you shared a story about how you started in 2010 for 17,000, using only 5,000. Could you talk about that a little bit?
So, let me see. That was 2010. In 2010, those bandit signs, you guys know the bandit signs that were all over the city. Those were a big, big thing. Social media was not. Facebook maybe. There was no Instagram, Twitter, none of that. So everything was, by phone or posters, and we put bandit signs all around, and we would get tons of calls of people who wanted to sell their homes because they were distressed, in distress situations. So divorces, deaths, just all kinds of stuff. People were calling it like, hey, can I get cash for my house? We buy houses cash. And so we had a caller, or a potential, what do you call it? Like a client or someone who wanted to sell their home. And they were in a very distressed situation. They were going through a divorce. Father had just died and left him the property. The siblings were fighting or feuding over, assets. So he's like, look, my dad left me this property. I'm going through a divorce. I need some money. So I think the person who I was working with offered him $10,000 cash for the house. They don't do that anymore, right? There are no more $10,000 houses. But they offered him $10,000, and he was like, no, I can't do it. So the person I was working with said, I'm not interested. I was interested. I had never purchased an investment property before. I didn't have any money. I had $5,000. I had $5,000 saved in my bank account. I said, listen, would you be willing to take $5,000 cash as a deposit? And he wanted 17 for the house. I said, I will pay you, I think it was like $800 or $900 a month until the rest is paid off. So it took a little over a year. And a little over a year, I had paid him the $17,000 minus the $5,000. I was working. I had just fairly new in the district. I have only been working maybe 5-6 years. I was bringing home maybe $700 every 2 weeks. So I was broke. And half of that was going towards the house for a year to pay it off. In the meantime, I had a part-time job. So I was working from sun up to sundown, 7 days a week. I took some extra money. I was sleeping on downstairs while my contractors renovated the upstairs. And then once the contractors renovated the upstairs, then I moved upstairs and let them renovate the downstairs. And it took me another year. So 2 years I was into this house, paying for it and working on it. Long story short, the 2 years had passed. The house is fully paid for. It's fully renovated. I moved out of the property and I rented it using PHA. And then I refinanced it. And I think I got maybe $65,000 from it. And that was my starting money for my down payments moving forward to keep buying real estate. So that one house was able to develop my portfolio to where it is now.
Okay. What's one piece of advice that you would give someone starting out in your career as an investor?
One piece of advice would probably be to get with someone who knows what they're doing. That's how I got started. I literally was linked to a mastermind. Like, they were a genius when it came to real estate and investing and what else? Financing, all of that. You got to get with someone who knows the field, because they're going to save you from making tons and tons of mistakes, avoidable mistakes that I had to learn through trial and error. So my one piece of key advice would be to get with someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay. And so the next question is like, it's about who has been your most important professional mentor?
My most professional. Say that one more time.
Your most important professional mentor.
My most important professional mentor was the partner who I initially met when I first started real estate. They actually were the one who they were doing the business for them. I literally was just there for company. I wasn't into real estate. I wasn't even thinking about real estate. But okay, the sound is there. Unbeknownst to me, I literally was absorbing, just like a sponge, everything that this person was doing, just by being around them. And then when we parted and went our ways, I had learned the BRRRR strategy. I had learned where to find money. I had learned how to evaluate a property, whether or not it's a good deal. I had learned how to, do a scope of work, how to determine how much work a property needed. So all of that I was able to do. I can do it with my eyes closed. I can do it in the dark. And that person helped me understand the game. So it's not just about, finding a piece of real estate and buying it. There's a little bit of research that goes into it. And that person was able to help me learn that. So now I know where to get the money. I know where to find the houses. I know how to determine whether or not it's a good deal. I know where to find the contracts. I know what contractors use. Now I can do it on my own.
Okay.
So that person taught me all of that.
So I would like to, my follow-up question is, I want to hear your perspective on paid mentorship. Like, talk about paid mentorship versus free mentorship. What's your perspective on that?
Okay. So when I first started, I'm like, you know what? People want to know information. Just give it to them. But what I started, I really was. And I still do in a certain aspect. However, when you pay for a mentorship, you're paying for that person's time. So now when people say, let me pick your brain, it's like, okay, well, now I expect for you to have time for me because I want something from you. However, why you want something from me, something that's going to add value to your life, something that's going to help you produce and be productive educationally, financially. And so if you want someone's time, like there's so many other things, I'm not going to even say that anyone can be doing. Why should that person take time out their day? People don't realize how important time is. Time is valuable. Time is money. You can't get that back. And so when you pay for someone's time, now you can feel privilege to ask those questions, because now there's an exchange, right? Whereas when it's free information, it's like, and I'm trying to see how I can say this without it coming out like rude. No one owes you anything, if that makes sense. So if I don't have time, I don't have time. I can't answer your questions, or anyone can't answer your questions. But just like at a university, you pay for that information. You can go on Google and get it, but you sit in front of a professor and you have that one-on-one. You go to that professor's office hours, because in your tuition, that time with that one-on-one time is calculated into that tuition, right? So you go and you see that person and say, hey, I don't understand this. So paying for a mentorship allows you to have access to information, to that one-on-one, to that support, as opposed to just getting, I'm sorry, my phone, like people are calling. I don't know how to turn that off while you're on, on an interview. But now you have, you've purchased, value, like something that's valuable that you can turn into something that's profitable.
Okay, so one of the things that you mentioned and that I despise is that pick your brain theory. It's very old programming, and it needs to be done with. So I always like to address it anytime it comes up. So my question that I pose to you is, instead of people saying that or doing that, what's a way that they can provide value to a person other than saying that thing?
One more time.
How can someone provide value to a mentor or a coach other than saying, let me pick your brain?
So that's a good question. One of the ways, and I've had people do this, and it is appreciated. It depends on the person and what they can use. So if I'm going to a person and I want something from them, I want them to teach me something. What can I bring them? What can I offer them? Can I offer them a service? Can I offer them my time to help them with something? So for instance, if someone said, instead of saying, hey, can I pick your brain, or can I take you to lunch? Because I got this, I gotta lose this, I don't need lunch. But what you could do that could help or benefit me is, hey, listen, I know you're spending a lot of time down at the municipal building. Could I go down there and pick up some permits for you, or apply for some applications for you down there for these projects? You want to do something for me? I'll return the favor. I'll do something for you. But you need to see with that person, what value can you bring to them? So for someone else, they may not have anything to do with the municipal building downtown, which is hell. But for me, I spend a lot of time down there. It's consuming, time consuming. It costs money. I got to pay $30 for parking for an hour. That's a lot of money. So, exchange your service for their service. That could be fair. And maybe they may just be able to use it. And then again, they may not be able to use it at all, but you could always ask. There was a I'm not going to say their name, because if you're on here, then I'm sure you know this person. A very good friend of mine. She's a very well-known real estate mentor or investor. Real estate investment mentor, widely known. She had a class, and her classes are very valuable. People pay a very good penny, to attend her classes. And at one point, someone had called her and asked her some questions about something that really helped her. And the girl who was asking the question made, these very expensive lace wigs, and the person was into hair, so she provided her that. That's not really a service. Well, I guess it can be considered, and she was very grateful for it.
It's a value exchange.
It's a value exchange. Yeah. It is, and so she accepted it because it was something that she could use. So instead of picking someone's brain, hey, is there something that I could do to assist you in your in your business? In the meantime, I have a few questions that I would like to ask you, because when you say, can I pick your brain, it's almost like, hey, can I get a couple dollars from you? Or it's like someone not knowing you and say, hey, you got like $20 I could borrow. I don't know you. Why would I lend you my money? Like what value am I getting from giving you that? But I can see the value in you receiving it. You understand? So
Yeah, and so I think we're on the right path, and but I also see like there's an issue with like what can I do for you, and especially when you ask like busy, like high level professionals, it's not really their job to figure out what you can do for them. So I like to take it even further and tell people like, what skills do you have? Offer those skills, offer those assets, these products. What do you have? Look, I have this, and this. I can provide you with this service, this product. I can do this for you in exchange for your time. And another thing I like to do is say, offer to pay. Like, don't pick my brain. Can I pay you for an hour of your time? You're going to be taken much more seriously than somebody that's trying to take you out for lunch. So,
Exactly.
all right.
So, and we pay for the things we want. We definitely do. If if people think that paying for a mentorship or paying for time is too much, then that maybe that particular thing that you're after may not be for you, or maybe it is, and maybe you should find other ways to get it. I.e., people say, Google University or whatever. Google, the internet is a great tool. It really is, but that one-on-one will help you, reach depths that Google won't be able to get you to, and give you explanations that Google, won't be able to get you to. And then you look at that person's experience and see that they're doing it. So I want to know, I want to be in the room with someone who's, more advanced than me, who's wealthier than me, who's smarter than me. And that's how you learn. So you got to put yourself in that environment. And sometimes you got to pay. I've paid for, what do you call those events? Like networking events and things like that, and seminars and things like that. And you connect and you meet and you grow.
All right. So you have like a dual career in a way. I want to hear about it from a teacher's perspective, this next question. So what's one lesson your job, right, as a teacher has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
So one thing that my job has taught me that I think
everyone should learn at some point in their life.
I think it may sound corny or cliche, but I think listen to learn. So we listen to learn or to understand. Again, so we hear a lot of things, people say a lot of things, and we don't listen to understand. And so one example might be, growing up, I was told like finances weren't really taught in the house where I grew up. And it is amongst, it's common in a lot of, people who look like us in our households. It's like, really, do you sit down and talk about finances?
Look like us.
And something,
what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Define look like us.
Okay, people of color. So, people of color, we don't. And that doesn't mean just, not just Black people, but a lot of people of color. Now, and that's factual. We're thrown into society at a disadvantage than, other people who don't look like us, because we don't teach, we don't sit and teach, or we don't learn about that at home. And one of the things, growing up, I often heard was, credit cards are bad, credit cards are bad, credit cards are bad. And in a sense they can be, but what does that mean? So again, I was listening and I heard, but I didn't listen to understand why are they bad? So what I've learned once I started getting into finance and investing and dealing with money, credit cards aren't bad. They're actually the opposite. Can they be bad? Yeah, anything in access, excessiveness can be bad, but they're not. They actually are very useful and helpful. And those credit cards and lines of credits are what are just two of the things that help propel my career, career in real estate. It's just a matter of learning how to use them, when to use them, what they're good for, the advantages of them and the disadvantages. So,
we work on some stuff together, and I know that you have, I guess, knowledge about how to use these credit cards in your business and leverage your business. How can we learn that directly from you? How can we get that information?
Wait, say this one more time. I'm sorry.
So you have a credit card strategy. How can someone learn your credit card strategy?
So, well, you and I are working together. I'm in the process of developing a course for people, to learn how, those 4 F's we talked about, you and I, and that's how to find a deal, how to fund a deal, how to fix a deal, how to flip it or even keep it. So, foreplay of real estate. And so pretty soon I'll start putting it out there, where they'll be able to sign up for that course to learn how to use your debt to, not debt, I'm sorry, wrong word, how to use your credit cards and lines of credit to leverage your buying power or abilities.
So the next question is what underrated tools are indispensable for your job? But what I realize is that one of those tools is what we just talked about. The credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to talk about that in detail, and then I want you to give us a couple more tools.
Okay, so one of the tools that I guess is like a must-have in my career are certain apps. So for me to manage my rental portfolio, I would not be able to do it successfully without the use of, I use Yardi Breeze. There's tons of other ones, but certain apps. I use a digital Rolodex. I have to have a digital Rolodex. So I have all of my contractors in there. If I need a HVAC person or I need a electrician and one is not available, I have that. So those are I need those tools for these certain apps. Rolodex, calendar for my timelines. What else? The credit cards, the lines of credit, the relationships with the bank. I have a list of tools that I need to be able to have access to and use so that I can run a successful business.
Right. And we're going to put together that list so people can have access to that, right?
That is correct. So you guys will have that soon. And one thing I will say about Jerome is like fire under the bush, under the tail, because I'll be like, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll get to it next week. And Jerome's like, we need a date and we need a time. So Monday when? 2:30? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So that leads on to our next more personal questions. And one of the things that people misunderstand about me is like my seriousness, because I can be direct, they'll misinterpret it. And that leads me to ask the same question to you. What's something that people misunderstand about you the most?
That they misunderstand about me. I might need some help with this one. I see my life is real estate is on here. Help me out with this
Steph.
one.
Shout out to Steph.
My brain works a little bit differently. Say the question again. Let me process it again.
What do people misunderstand about you most? So my is like, oh my God, Jerome is a jerk because I'm direct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's something about you?
Okay, so it's funny because I get both sides. Sometimes people say I appear or I come off mean. I don't know what that means, but they say I do. And maybe because I'm so, I guess I just be so focused and I don't have an expression on my face. And sometimes it just looks flat or serious. And maybe that's, they call poker face. Maybe that's my teacher face. Because when the kids come in the classroom, I'm just like I'm not for it today. But I think that's one thing. And then sometimes it's the opposite. People think, oh, she's, super nice or super passive. And then it's like, okay, these two horns come out and they're like, oh my God, who is she? So I guess, like I said, it goes both ways, and it's just a matter of really, knowing me.
Okay. What's an insult you've received that you're proud of?
Mm-hmm. An insult that I received that I'm proud of.
Yes.
Yes. Who's the contractor?
Okay.
So I do a lot of relationships with banks, and then she says I'm soft. No, I'm not soft. I do a lot of she knows I'm not. I have a lot of relationships.
What's wrong with being soft?
Because she's not saying it in that sense. She's saying it like a pushover soft. That's the kind of soft she's talking about.
Okay.
So I have a lot of relationships with banks. And so it's a very, very male-dominated industry, highly male-dominated industry. And so I've been asked and requested to produce and give, different things, information, documents, and they request them from the licensed contractor. And when I write up the information and send it to them, I'm questioned, where's the contractor? Hey, that's me. Or, you know, I'm trying to think. Yeah, and I think that was the biggest one, because a lot of times coming in, even dealing with the city down at the municipal, we would need the contractor to do A, B, C, or D. And then when I start talking and I'm explaining to them the scope of work that's being done, and they're like, oh, well, she knows what she's talking about. Oh, yeah, she's the contractor. She is the contractor. So yes, I think that's kind of I guess the insult that I've kind of been proud of, because yeah, that's me.
Okay, so similar to Stephanie, you are a contractor. That's like your thing.
That's like your thing. You do construction,
and you
manage those projects.
That is correct. Now, do I do the physical? No, I do not do the physical. However, and some people may say, well, how are you a licensed contractor and you don't do the physical work? Some of the work I do, but not to the extent that I need this house to be ready to be sold. So I have people who do this every day. I don't work with my hands every day.
All right. So you have general contractors and then subcontractors, right?
Correct.
Which could you give us a definition on each?
So the general contractor is the contractor who is in charge, or the contractor who takes care of the general project. So for me, I would make sure that I sub or pull in another contractor who can do plumbing, who can do HVAC, who can do electrical, who can do finish work. So I'm subbing the work out to them. I'm handing it over to them.
Okay, and those are the subcontractors. So you're a general contractor.
Yes, I am a licensed general contractor.
Awesome. So we are getting to the closing table. That means we're closing up. So, question: what are 3 books that you recommend to the audience and why?
So, one of the books that I just started reading, I haven't finished reading, but it's a pretty good read. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? That book is a book about change. I like that book because a lot of times we get comfortable in our situations and our mindset. She said, I don't read. But that book, again, talks about change and talks about getting out of your comfort zone. So I like Who Moved Your Cheese? Another book is The Richest Man in Babylon, which I know a lot of people talk about. But I love The Richest Man in Babylon because that also talks about like mindset. And, basically, if you plan on doing something, then you need to do it. Like, you need to get into that area, those people who are doing it, like taking action. Another one that I read, I just started reading. I really can't tell you a lot about it, but I will tell you the title of it. So if you guys want to read it, it's an amazing book. And it's called The 4 Agreements. That one's really good. And what is the other one I read? This isn't a real estate one, but all of these books can apply to any field you're in. What was the other one? 48 48 Laws of Power? 48 Laws of Power, I think.
48 Laws of Power. That's my favorite book ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah,
that's a really good book. You can't tell everybody that you like that book.
You like that book, though. That's dark.
And then you start using Yeah.
So I like that one. He also has. He's my favorite author ever. So 33 Strategies of War is really good, and also The Art of Seduction. I
got those books right back there.
Yep.
Great books.
I haven't read those, but I heard they were.
He is my favorite
modern day author.
All right, so I have the question that I want to ask you that I want to kind of stop. You can't say no or I don't know. The question I have for you is it's going to be twofold. So the first way is, how can someone bring immediate value to you and your business?
So someone can bring immediate value, and what was the other part?
To you or your business.
To me or my business. One of the things, one of the ways in which someone can bring immediate value to either myself or my business is by one, reach out. I have to, well, for those of you who are here, you can DM me. I think my email's in my the link in my bio. But reach out and say, and have a conversation. I'm trying to think of another way.
What value
would that conversation bring you?
Well, it depends. So, what is it that either of us are desiring? So if someone says, hey, the value I think that someone can bring would be, it could be anything. It could be, well, I'm an investor, so it can be, hey, you know what, I have, someone who's selling a house and, or whatever, I don't know. And then in turn, this is a hard question. I don't know.
It is a hard question.
I'm not going to let you escape it.
So let me try to reframe it. What's the biggest bottleneck in any of your business or your personal life?
I didn't hear the first part.
Biggest bottleneck
or struggle.
Managing multiple tasks. So again, right now I'm doing a lot of it myself, and not because I have to, but because I haven't gotten to the point where I'm ready to let go of my baby, which is my business, and every part of my business is mine. So the running the rental, my rentals, running the what do you call it? The construction site, ordering material, like all of that. I do everything in my business. So I'm going to go back to your question because now it came back to me. I had to process it for a second. But
Steph said it's not hard.
It's not hard.
It's actually, and this is something that I teach, delegating tasks. And I'm not ready to delegate a task because it's like watching your baby go out of the nest. It's like, wait a minute, let me just make sure everything is okay. And I leave people in charge, and now I'm calling them to make sure everything's okay. Why am I calling them? They should, you know what I mean? Like, they're going to call me and let me know how things are going. So that's one thing. But so one way that people can add value. So again, I manage a lot, not even a lot. I manage every part of every aspect of my business. And so if someone wanted to add value, hey, I can make these calls for you. I can go, assist basically. So that's adding value. And then in turn, I can add value to you. You know what I mean? So it would be an even exchange. It's not like, I got to take time out of my day to give to, to feed you something, whereas we can feed each other.
All right, so
get ready to struggle again, because that was immediate value. That's short-term value.
Now
we need long-term value.
How can somebody
bring you long-term value to your business?
So long-term value would be to bring in those things that would help my business grow. So for instance, or anyone's business. So what is it that my business needs to flourish? It needs funding. So do you have connections to banks? Do you have connections to lenders? Do you have connections to contractors? Do you have connections to products that, hey, I don't sell them, but hey, I know where you can get these, someone, those recessed lights that everybody are putting in. I think I was paying like $13 a piece at one point, but guess what? On Amazon, they're selling for $4 to $6 a piece. So anything that could be used to help the business grow, and if you have access to that long term, that funding is definitely going to help the business. That's long term. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'm happy with that answer for now,
but we're going to clear that up. We got to get more specific about that.
We are at the
closing table, so I have
about two more questions
for you. One is not even really a question.
So where can
listeners find out more about you online?
So as of right now is just IG, but you and I were working together on that. So I'm in the process of developing something, more tangible for people who are interested.
Okay, so
we're at the closing table. Leave us with some closing statements, final comments.
Okay. So I'll try to think of three. One, Get connect. Why you laugh?
Because Stephanie
said I said closing table 10 minutes ago. We are at the closing table.
Okay, so one is to get connected. Introduce yourself. If someone doesn't know you, but you know that this person has value or something that you could use, get connected to them. Try to learn about those, like find resources. So if you know that you want to get into investing, start looking into banks, different type of banks. There was someone who told me they didn't know that there was a difference between like a business bank and like a regular retail bank in the lending term. So that's different. Another piece of advice would be to read. Whether if it's not a book, it could be a podcast. It could be find something that's informational that's going to help teach you. Because a lot of basic information can be found online, and that will help you when you get into the advanced part. And then thirdly, manage. I was working a full-time job for several years while I was investing. And I'll be honest, I was literally, from the time I woke up, which was about 5:30 a.m. until the time I went to bed, which was sometimes midnight or after, because after teaching at 3 o'clock, I'm going into these job sites until 7 or 8 o'clock, coming home, trying to, cook dinner and do whatever else, and then grading papers and getting ready for the next day. So literally from sunup to sundown, I was working. But managing, I was able to run successfully a full-time construction business, a real estate investing business, successfully while working a 9 to 5. But I had to learn to manage my time. Which is probably why now I'm such a procrastinator. Jerome, I'm like, I'll do it tomorrow. Everything is tomorrow. But managing time, those are, I think, are 3 key things.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate having you here. And Stephanie, the closing table never goes the way it's supposed to go. So sometimes it happens like that. Right. Closing day is crazy. So Lakisha, I appreciate you doing this with me. We will be in touch. Thank you for coming on our podcast, and we'll see you around.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.